Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Fabio Sdogati. I am a professor of international economics at the Politecnico di Milano, and this is my fourth talk about the so-called Greek crisis. If I remember correctly, our last meeting was on the 13th of April. Now, what's news about Greece? Well, I think that what is new about the so-called Greek crisis is that we were right. There is no such a thing as a Greek crisis. Let me expand for a minute about that. Up until, say, 2006, 2007, everybody believed that public debt and public deficits were bad for the economy because they were generating inflation. The problem is not whether that was right or wrong. The problem is that we don't see that anymore. Public debt in the United States, in Great Britain, in Germany, in Italy, in Greece is not generating inflation. Now that is important because we had to spend a tremendous amount of money to get out of this recession generated by the deregulation of the financial sector, and that money is simply deficit spending. We know that the United States approved, the Congress approved expenditures for $787 billion in February 2009. We know that the Chinese Parliament approved an expenditure of $586 billion in November 2008, and we know that if we are getting out of this crisis, which we are not really doing very fast, is thanks to this public spending. So debt is increasing dramatically, and yet inflation is not there. Now the problem is, who's financing this debt? Banks. All the liquidity that central banks have injected into the system, European, American, Australian, any central bank in the world, all this liquidity is in part being used to purchase treasury bills, and therefore public debt has found its financing so far, even though interest rates, even though yields are extremely low. Now the problem is, how long is it gonna last? Well, here comes Greece into the picture. So many false and misleading things have been said about Greece, such that Greece has been hiding its debt. Well, everybody hides their debts. It is not uncommon, it is most normal that governments as well as private agents make sure that not full information is disclosed about their debitory positions. I'm not surprised by that. It is also said that Greece has an extremely high deficit to GDP rate, and that is estimated at 13.6%. Well, it is high. It is certainly very high, not much higher than the UK's, or the US's, or many other countries. So the problem, I believe, is not really with the Greek crisis, with the Greek government. The problem, I believe, is with the euro. I believe that what is happening for months now is that Greece is the test case to see how strong the euro area is by measuring, by assessing how strongly the euro area could react to a speculative attack against one of its governments, the weakest government, the smallest government in the euro area. Of course, this is not to justify the excess of spending over incomes by the Greek government. This is not to justify some accounting behavior which is unjustifiable. This is saying something else. What this is saying is, this is not an attack, a speculative attack against Greece. It is a speculative attack against the euro. How do we know this? Easy. Look at the correlation between how bad news are on any given day and how much the euro depreciates against the dollar. And then look what's happened when finally both the Mr. Strauss-Kahn from the European Monetary Fund and Mrs. Angela Merkel from the German government together announced that yes, indeed, the situation was not simple. Yes, indeed, policymakers had been reacting too late to the problem, and when they came out about 48 hours ago saying what they said, that is, that they would not allow any sort of rescheduling of the Greek debt or even the default, which is even worse, then immediately markets calmed down. So this is a test about European leadership. On the last time we met, I said that finally we were seeing some European leadership. Well, we did. Then things got worse. Everybody disappeared, of course, because, you know, Mrs. Merkel has elections threatening us, threatening them and her in particular in Germany. So everybody wanted to wait. These situations cannot be waited upon. We know that this situation requires a strengthening of the European integration process. We know that this requires that member countries simply buy Greek treasury bills at a decent price. That's all that is needed, European leadership, because this is an attack not on an unfaithful government, not on an untruthful government. It is an attack against the very idea of European Union, European integration, one money. So my forecast is markets will come down, will go back slowly to bond prices that we will regard as reasonable. The Greek government will not have to pay obscene yields on the debt it issues. It will take a lot of time before things come back to normal, and most of all, it will take a lot of watching by the European Monetary Authority. It is a bit unnerving not to see the European Central Bank intervening very, very strongly in this process. We would have liked to see the European Central Bank keeping the rhythm that Mr. Trichet has set at some point in time, when he was so forceful in denying that default or restructuring of the Greek debt was not an option. Now we know that more and more authorities are saying this, but we would like to see the European Central Bank to take a stronger stand on the issue. I'll hope I'll be able to be more smiling next time we talk, but I believe there are all the signs around that the situation is under control. And of course, markets do their job. Policymakers should do theirs. Thank you so much.